following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to Beyond the Garden Gate. Get ready to explore two completely different gardens. First, we'll be visiting a garden reminiscent of a World War II victory garden, which was planted with veggies from A to Z. And we will also be visited by a group of very lovely ladies. Then later we'll tour the beautifully landscaped gardens surrounding our second feature home. With touches of humor and whimsy throughout, it makes a true delight in the unexpected. So come along and enjoy the show. Hello, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Garden Gate. Today we're visiting Casey Martel out here in Merrimack, and Casey has quite an extensive vegetable garden which we're going to check out. It's a little mini farm we have here. She has chickens and veggies, and she has quite a bit of wildlife out here. She's deer. What else?
Turkeys.
Turkeys.
Everything. Coyotes, foxes.
Okay. Any bear?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. You take your bird feeders in the winter?
We do now.
You do now. Good for you. Okay, Casey, let's take a walk back and check out the garden. Well, here we are in the vegetable garden, and what was that bunny story?
Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit.
In my case, and deer.
And the deer, yeah. I notice you have some perennials mixed in with your veggies. Why is that?
Well, I always like to plant a lot of perennial flowers just because it's easy. They come up every year, and you need a lot of the more blossoms for the bees that you have, the better pollination. Theoretically, the more pollinators you have in your yard, the more fruit you end up with. Squashes, tomatoes, cucumbers. Mm-hmm. So I try to entice as many bees into the yard as I can. They love alyssum. This is all sage all the way around, which will be blooming soon. It's Blue Hill sage. Looks pretty nice once it comes in bloom. Mm-hmm. And then this is an early garden. The radishes, onions, lettuce, all the things that can take the cold. Broccoli, cabbage.
And what kind of lettuce is that? It's a very pretty color.
Some of it is red sales, and the other one is some I started from seeds. I try to mix them all up.
You start a lot of things from seeds?
I do. I started a lot of my own things from seeds.
And you are organic?
All organic.
All organic.
I raise chickens, so when I clean the coop, it all goes into the compost pile.
And it comes back out here.
It gets all mixed around, and then I use it as my compost everywhere. It's very sandy soil.
This is sandy here?
Very sandy. It needs a lot of compost.
So you have some daylilies here?
Yep. Accidentals. They just spring up everywhere. So we leave them.
Okay.
Pot them up and give them to friends sometimes.
And what is this here?
Well, it looks like a cutworm.
Uh-oh.
And because I'm organic, I tend to have a lot of little creatures. But what happens in a situation like this is they're always right there. And this is damage from a cutworm, typical damage from a cutworm. If you put your finger around there, they're always still hiding right in here. And the collars.
How can you get around?
There's a lot of ways. You can put little paper collars.
Okay.
I have found, it's old-fashioned, if you take a nail and you put it in the ground close to the stem, close to the little stem, the cutworm has to wrap itself all the way around in order to be able to cut off that broccoli or cabbage or whatever. And by putting something else alongside, it makes it too difficult. I just must have missed one.
Oh, okay. So, and I see also a lot of recycled items.
Absolutely.
The sink over here is quite interesting. Should we go over there and take a peek at that?
Yep. All recycled stuff. You have
several found items in your garden, and I think this might be The biggest one.
The biggest one.
And probably the most utilitarian.
Right.
We've got a double sink here. Looks like it comes from an old farmhouse, 1940s.
It's a great old enamel cast iron sink.
Wow. And it actually works.
Sure. It's all hooked up, running water. And in the coolness in the fall, sometimes my husband will hook up an extra hose, a black one, and roll it up so that if I want warm water, I can have warm water to wash my hands and clean the vegetables. I have a scrub brush and I clean everything right here and it all goes to the house clean.
And you've got a bucket underneath to catch the water
and
recycle it right back into the garden.
Correct.
So how long a hose have you got out here to bring this water out here?
Well, it's underground.
Yeah.
It's underground.
But it is a hose.
It's PVC pipe.
PVC pipe.
And then it's hooked up here, it's hooked up down there, and it's hooked up back there because I really don't like dragging a hose around through my garden.
I don't either. I can sympathize with that.
Yeah.
So
it makes it much more convenient. I have short hoses. They're only about 15 feet long.
And who is the creator of all of these items like that?
My husband hooks up everything for me.
He's a hole digger as well.
Yep. Yep.
Well, here we are in the rhubarb patch. We have rhubarb, and I see some strawberries. And all we need is a pie crust.
There you go.
And we'll have a nice strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yep.
But let me ask you, I've never seen rhubarb go to flower like this.
Well, yeah, they kind of say it's going to seed, and as soon as you see them start, you should cut them right off. It's not a good thing to let that happen. It kind of takes away the energy from the rest of the plants.
Will it alter the flavor of the fruit?
No.
Okay.
The thing of it is, this rhubarb patch just got divided. About every 4 or 5 years, they need to get divided or they get thin. And it needs really rich soil, so when you're doing it, it gives you a good chance to add lots of compost so that you get nice big fat stalks and really big leaves. These are a little bit on the small side because they got
they would transplant it
last
last
spring,
year.
and so I can't really pick very many of them till next year.
Okay.
But these right here, this should be cut off way down at the bottom as soon as you see them.
But you'll just let it grow for us, right?
Yes, I did. But those should be taken off right away.
Okay. Very good. Okay, let's go on over and check out the asparagus. That is, if the deer haven't depleted your crop.
They have discovered them.
They've discovered them. Let's go see what they left us.
All right.
And here we are with the asparagus. Now, I've never seen asparagus growing in the garden, and I've only seen them in the grocery store. And this is very different. Are all of this edible, or is it just the top?
It probably could be, but you don't want to eat these because these all go to fronds and ferns to make the energy for next year. As the asparagus grow up, they open the little top. This is what was the top.
I see.
They open to make the ferns, and this all makes the energy so you have asparagus next year.
It's very pretty, the ferns. Very light and airy.
Sometimes I sneak down and use them in floral arrangements, but usually no.
Oh, nice, nice. Now, how many years has this bed been in?
This is only its second year, so we've only been able to pick a few. You have to let them mature, you know.
About 3 years?
Right, and then in the third year you start picking for a few weeks, about maybe 3 weeks, and you pick about a third of the asparagus. And by the time they're 4 years old, you can pick for 5 or 6 weeks, and you can pick at least half of them, and then after that you can pick all you want.
Wow.
You can pick all you want as long as you leave some to make the food for next year for the plant.
Right. Now, what's the purpose of this wire? It's not electric, is it?
No.
No?
It should be. The deer have discovered that once they get tender little fronds like this, they can eat them. These were never put inside of the fence because the deer never touched them. They kind of got crowded out. There's a new housing development across the street, and so they have nowhere to go, and so they come and dine in my backyard.
Your backyard. How many acres do you have here?
15.
15.
This was a raspberry bed. This was for the raspberry canes. There's 2 sets of wires and all, but the deer discovered them, and so we did away with the raspberries. They live in Connecticut now, and we put in
the deer or the raspberries?
The raspberries. But the deer had not touched the asparagus, but in the last couple of years, because they've been so crowded, they've discovered once they go to these delicate little ferns that they like to eat them. Mm-hmm. So that's not good.
So will you have another garden like to keep it going, or do you just let this mature?
This matures. Cut as many as is allowed, and then I compost it all down. Mm-hmm. I will hang some things here that are called deer bells. You make them out of plastic cups, and you take Irish Spring soap, like on a paper clip, and you take a part of a bar of Irish Spring soap, and you put it under the little plastic cup, and you tie it there. It keeps the rain from melting the soap, but the deer really don't like the smell of it, and I found that helps a lot.
Okay. So next year, wherever you have one stalk, you'll have 2 or 3 next year?
Right, correct. I don't know if you can see here, but there's quite a few growing here.
Uh-huh. All right.
But the deer have discovered that all these little tops are very delectable, and they've been cutting off the tops, and then they're not making enough energy for next year, so we've discovered a deterrent to hang some little bells from here. This purple asparagus is called purple passion. They all come up purple like that. Eventually they turn green on their own, but when you saute them or you cook them, they turn green immediately. These are my Araucana hens. They're about 1.5 years old. They lay beautiful blue and green and pink eggs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've got 18 of them, and I get a dozen plus every day. I could get you eggs and show them. They're pretty nice looking. They're supposed to have low cholesterol, the eggs from these chickens. And that's still debatable, but that's what they say. They're very good.
And what do we have here?
Well, I went and got eggs just to show people how the beautiful colors that they are.
Look at the different colors. We've got green, pink, almost a blue one, and one that's almost a peachy color. I hope they taste as beautiful as they look.
Supposedly the colors of their eggs don't change. The same hen lays the same color all the time. But I've noticed that if I throw out spinach or if they've been free roaming in the yard, that sometimes the color is much more intense. They're really wonderful eggs.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, and thank you for joining us again for another episode of Beyond the Garden Gate. I'm Linda Temperino, and we are here this morning in the garden of Jack Murray over on Parnell Road. It is a beautiful garden in full bloom for spring on this glorious spring day. Jack's garden was on the garden tour last year for the symphony, but we were a little bit too early to see this magnificent bloom, so he was gracious enough to invite us back again. So let's walk up the hill and see what's up there. As we're moseying on up the hill here, I've come across this beautiful specimen. I've never seen one like this. What is it?
Well, Linda, this one is a Japanese willow.
Oh.
That I actually started almost from seed. And it seems to be really happy in this spot.
It certainly is. You said you started, so it must bear a flower of sorts?
Well, this is typically the type of flower that comes out. It's just a little off-white, pinkish, peachy.
And then you clip this and root it?
And we clip it back, and it becomes more variegated green as the year progresses.
Irrigation is beautiful.
Yeah,
just beautiful.
This is the prettiest time of the year for the Japanese
It is
willow.
lovely. I might have to come back and get a clipping of that. And rumor has told me that you have quite a beautiful guest house.
Oh, we do.
And it's right behind us.
Well, this is the favorite part of the garden for the children. And as you can see, we have the 7 dwarfs there. White's inside sleeping.
And where did you get such a cute little house?
I found it in one of the stores. It may have been our famous Christmas tree shop.
Is that right?
up
Is that
in,
right? That's
Exit 6.
adorable.
Yeah.
And what is that made out of? Is it a ceramic?
It's it's not ceramic. It's probably like paper mache.
Okay, do you leave it out all year or do you bring it in?
I bring it in, yeah,
Okay.
protect it for the winter.
Absolutely. Now you may hear behind us the traffic. Jack's garden is unique in this. It backs right up to Route 3, and he has one of these noise abatement walls right behind us here. And as you can see, he has camouflaged it beautifully. How many years did it take you to create this beautiful spot?
Well, we moved here, built the house in 1973, and I believe they widened the highway in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it was a shock.
I'll bet it was.
We once had a nice wooded buffer to the highway, and when they took all the trees down,
Oh, you must have been very upset.
I was heartbroken.
Oh, sure.
So we fought for the barrier, and I vowed to create a special place after that happened.
Now you're quite high off of the road. Did they have to build this wall a bit higher than the rest of the neighborhood?
They did, because we are up high, and the original plan, the wall was considerably lower. But I had their engineers come back and kind of take a view from the inside out, and they were nice enough to accommodate the additional
You can
height.
see the difference when
Yeah.
you're coming up the highway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very obvious.
But
So,
now over the years, with the vegetation has grown up, and it's less obvious.
yeah. So, okay, and you got a beautiful little water feature over here in the corner. Let's take a walk over there.
Yeah.
Well, on our way over to the water feature, we came across this beautiful little arbor. And what do we have growing here, Jack?
This is a climbing hydrangea,
Very pretty.
and it produces this beautiful lace-like,
Is it a lace cap?
lace-cap flower. It's just beginning to start, so you can see the buds.
Even before it opens, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Climbing hydrangea produces this pretty little lace-cap off-white flower. And it'll brighten and become more white as it opens up.
As it
and
matures.
gets more sun. But you can see the number of blossoms
Boy, look at them.
on this one, and it's just ready to pop.
And how many years did it take for it to get this high?
It's an aggressive plant, but it probably took 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that's pretty good. It's pretty fast. Yeah, very nice. It really breaks up the fence. Yeah.
And we brought the arbor up from our summer home when I had done some construction work there. And I had this arbor that didn't quite fit again. So we transported it up here, and it does make for a nice little division point.
It's like a
Yeah.
little
A
grotto.
little grotto in the middle of paradise.
Yeah, just lovely. Okay, let's see if we can check out our little pond. Now we're over here at the pond and we're checking out Jack's girls. How many ladies do you have down there?
I think, well, there could be a couple males in there,
Uh-huh.
but there are 15 was my last count.
Wow.
2 babies.
2 babies. So obviously you do have a male in there
I
or
think
2.
so.
Yeah. So, do you take them in the wintertime?
No, we've actually left them out. I have these 2 little aerator units that pump air into the water, and I have a small heating dome that we rest right on the top of the water surface, and that was enough to keep it from totally freezing over.
And probably, getting rid of any unwanted little critters like
Unwanted
raccoons
critters, yeah.
or something like that.
And the fish go into a state of hibernation.
Oh, they do.
They just sort of rest near the bottom. I can see they're breathing, but they're not active.
Now, did you actually build this yourself?
Myself and my landscaper,
That's
Joe
Joe.
DeLuca.
Joe DeLuca.
We did this stone by stone.
And what kind? It looks like slate, almost.
It's a slate-like stone, but it's heavier thickness. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it's a very interesting with the combination of darks and lights.
The grays and the tans. Yeah. And you've got your little angels watching all of your little...
My little cherubs look
Your little
over
cherubs, yeah.
And you see the little stone standing straight up, Linda?
Right over here?
Right over
yeah.
here. That was in the lot, and when I picked it up to place it, I said, gee, this looks like the state of New Hampshire.
It does. Yeah, it sure does.
We put it in a prominent place. Okay. I'll have to get it engraved someday.
Okay. And now we're standing in front of a beautiful pink dogwood. The bloom has gone by, but we stopped by last week. We took some stills, so you will be able to get to see how beautiful this tree was when it was in bloom. This tree really took a beating in that October storm a couple of years ago, didn't it, Jack?
It did, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, you almost lost it.
We almost lost it. Half of the tree had tipped right to the ground from the weight of the ice and snow.
You must have been beside yourself.
And to see that, we talked about how to fix it if it were possible. And we came up with the idea of just trying to wire it and hold it in place. I smeared the inside bark with Vaseline, of all things.
Oh my goodness, why did you do that?
To keep out the ants.
Oh, for goodness sakes. The ants would have just eaten the wood and just eaten it away.
So, lo and behold.
It worked.
It worked.
Wow. Do you think it'll ever be 100%?
Well, it certainly looked that way if it weren't for all the apparatus around it. And you had just told me earlier somebody has had some success with bolting.
They bolted it.
So we may give that an opportunity.
I have a weeping cherry that was severely damaged, and I'm looking for someone to come over and take a branch from one side and graft it to the other. Because the trunk on the tree is this big around. I don't have enough years in my life left to wait for another tree to get that big.
Yeah. Well, this one is done well, and let's just hope we don't have another.
Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed. Well, we're almost to the end of the journey, Jack. This is quite a garden. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And what size lot do you have here?
I think it's about a half acre.
Half acre? Well, you've utilized every inch, haven't you?
Almost.
Yeah. You've got a beautiful color arrangement here. I love the burgundies and the pinks and a little spot of blue down here with the speedwell. And look what I found. The most beautiful fragrance, the pinks. They're very, very lovely. Yeah. And is this a Stella d'Oro or is it Happy Returns?
Yeah, it's a Stella d'Oro.
Stella d'Oro. Yeah, they're lovely. Okay, and this over here is?
A pink, close to reddish, flowering Wygelia.
Wygelia. Yeah, it's lovely.
It's a beauty.
Okay.
This island started very small, and
I have an idea you start everything small and just keep on going. It's like the ever-ready bunny. You just keep on going.
Make room.
Yeah. So let's walk around the island and see what's over there.
Okay, very good.
And it looks like we have something growing over here. Whose puppy is this?
Well, this one looks like my daughter Michelle's dog, Tater, who was a brown Labradoodle.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
and
It does look like a Labradoodle.
And over the years, I put a lot of these euonymuses in this particular area of the garden. And a couple years ago, I decided to try to shape them and look like animals.
Well, you've got several different types of euonymus, and you got the green and white variegated, and then you got the yellow and green, and then you got the solid
green,
solid green, and that says body going down. Looks like his legs are spreading out in the back too. So that's adorable. You ought to get a job down at Disney doing their topiaries. Well, again, Jack, thank you so very, very much for this lovely visit. It was
Linda,
a treat.
My pleasure.
It was a treat.
Pleasure.
Join us again for our next episode of Beyond the Garden Gate. This is Linda Temporino. Thanks. And
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.